You should have seen her face 3 seconds flat, and the woman who'd been barking orders on my porch went from queen of the mountain to a ghost. It happened the moment my wife handed her a plain manila envelope, and the clip on her fake badge suddenly weighed 100 pounds. I'm Miles Carter, former reporter, who swore he was done chasing crooks. My wife is Lena, a property attorney, who can read a contract like a cardiologist reads an EKG. We moved to the edge of Sagebrush Ridge, Wyoming for quiet. Big sky pines, a cabin in a place proudly advertised as no HOA. For 3 weeks, we got exactly that. Herbs and whiskey barrels, a hawk that rode the wind like it owned it. Neighbors with the slow trucker wave. That means we're good. Then a white SUV rolled up and the air changed. She stepped out like she'd been appointed by God and given a clipboard to prove it. Navy blazer, tidy bun. Laminated badge smile that said, "I'm here to help," while her eyes said, "I'm here to win good morning." I'm Trina from the Ponderosa Standards Office, just a routine compliance check. And she was off to the races. Paint colors, historic palettes, woodpile height, setbacks from the creek, a blizzard of official words. And when I asked to see the badge, she tilted it just enough to flash, not long enough to read. The font sat. Funny. The expiration date had drifted into spring, and the department name sounded real until you remembered we picked this place because it doesn't exist here. Lena came out with a dish towel and that polite lioness smile she saves for door-to-door miracles. "What statute are you referencing?" she asked, and Trina dropped ordinance numbers like confetti, without landing a single citation. Then she slid us a packet thick enough to bruise a foot. 7 days to comply. Fines may apply. We'll be back. When the SUV turned out of our drive, the door magnet was peeling at the corner, small thing. But I've learned small things are the threads you pull. At the table, Lena laid the packet out like a crime scene and went quiet. She tracked signatures, seals spacing all those little tells. Only a person who's lived in paperwork can see. After 10 minutes, she tapped the header and said, "These are real county templates. Misused someone with access." Fed her this, and the temperature of our kitchen dropped. The bills hit the next morning like hail a water authority. We'd never heard of demanding a connection review fee, an environmental compliance inspection you before service could continue. A septic audit. Stamped urgent barcodes and reference numbers and scary language that felt just plausible enough to pay and move on. Then our mortgage company called about a third-party interest claim. And insurance wanted documentation on irregularities. Even our internet got flagged for non-standard usage. It felt like fighting fog. You grab one shape and it reforms somewhere else. And while we were busy swatting at little fires, the big question tried to slip past us. Who lit them? The social pressure arrived on schedule, a community safety meeting at the hall, where Trina stood under a projector and worked the room like a seasoned politician. Photos of me taking pictures of our boundary stakes, of Lena walking our fence line cut and cropped just right to look menacing. "We value peace here," she said. "We value tradition." And it wasn't name-calling. It was surgical. We weren't bad. We were disruptive elements, and neighbors we'd waved to started giving us the kind of smile people use when they don't want trouble. At Buckhorn Market, she staged a little show. Loud voice, pointed finger crowd watching like it was Saturday entertainment, until Deputy Noah Reyes, steady as a fence post, walked in and asked her to lower her voice. She snapped back so fast, she revealed what she kept hiding. "Don't tell me how to protect this town," she hissed. And then she fumbled her phone and blurted a name into the air by accident. "Brock. It's falling apart. Click end call." but the smoke was already in the room. That night, Lena slid a second envelope across our table and said the thing that changed our timeline. I didn't tell you because I couldn't promise the outcome 3 weeks ago. I called a federal contact from a land fraud case in Utah. I've been documenting. If we can get Trina to bring her people back here, this ends. Twist right there at the center. The woman I married had already set the trap, and I hadn't even sharpened my pencil. And then a second twist landed on top of the first. The state bar sent a complaint against Lena that referenced details from old closed cases. Not public details, which meant whoever was behind this either had a friend in the system or held the keys himself. I put the old reporter muscle back on and tugged on county records parcel transfers, recent sales, and the pattern showed up quick. Families like us moved in for quiet, got hammered by official pressure, sold fast at a loss. Then a development company scooped their place. You draw it on a map, and the pins look like a greedy constellation. And every time I tried to verify, phones dropped, or maintenance screens popped up sources who said yes. Called back with no? You know what I mean. The morning we sprung it, the sky was a cold blue. Only Wyoming can make the convoy came. The way counterfeit power always arrives, big and noisy. Trina's SUV first. 2 county look-alike trucks after a camera woman, a pair of guys in those generic uniforms that whisper. We bought this at a catalog she planted herself on our porch, like a judge returning from lunch. Final opportunity to comply, she said. We'll need immediate access. Lena stepped forward in her navy suit and pearl studs, held the manila envelope like evidence, and said, Ms. Hale, I believe these are the documents you're looking for. Trina slid it open, glanced down, and you could watch the pilot light go out behind her eyes. Confusion, then fear, then that hollow stare people get when they realize the call is coming from inside the house. What is this? She whispered. And Lena delivered the line like a hammer laid gently on a nail. A federal arrest warrant, conspiracy fraud. Impersonating officials, wire fraud, hands where we can see them. The shrub line became a zipper. Agents slid out clean and quiet. The county costumed guys tried to run and got 2 steps. Deputy Reyes nodded from the side like this was always where he'd meant to stand. Trina didn't scream. She pivoted. I want a lawyer, and I want to talk cooperation, she said. I can give you Brock Whitfield, county commissioner. He set the whole thing up, and then the backup plan hit. Phones went dead, radios fizzled. County road trucks started blocking the switchback like they owned gravel. Agent Morgan, mid-40s, steel eyes, brought us inside and gave us the unvarnished frame. 2 years ago, miss, Carter's case cost Whitfield millions in permits and kickbacks. He lost his office. He built this network across rural counties, and he targeted you on purpose. You weren't random. You were the point. The call slid through the interference like a needle through cloth. Lena answered, and heard a man who liked the sound of his own calm. Counselor, you ruined my life. Meet me alone and fix it, or your husband pays. Then silence, and I watched Lena's face do that. Move it does when fear and resolve shake hands. We won't ask you to meet him, Morgan said. But if you do, we wire you and end this. And our neighbor Cassie brought in a spider web of backup cameras. So if the official feed died, the truth would still breathe. Redundancy is justice's best friend, yeah. That happened. Whitfield picked the community center, where Trina had turned half the town against us. Because of course he did. He wanted the stage. He wanted the symbolism. He came with 2 security guys and a sermon. I brought jobs. I cut red tape. lawyers like you destroy. Progress, pacing a groove into the linoleum. And Lena's questions were the kind that look harmless until you notice you're answering all the parts you meant to hide. Who drafted the inspection scripts? Who fed Trina real county forms, which officials fast-tracked your permits? And he gave names to feel powerful confessed by bragging, then tried to have his men put hands on her. And that's when Cassie's mirrored feed went wide, and sirens braided up from 3 directions. Doors swung, agents moved. State and county uniforms poured in like a tide. The security guys froze, and Brock did the thing bullies do when they realize the room isn't their room anymore. One last threat, tossed like a coin. Fine, you got me, check, Mason Bridger. Pine Ridge, you think I did this alone? And when the cuffs locked, he deflated. Not tall, not small. Just ordinary, which is almost always the most shocking part. The aftermath felt like a town relearning its manners. Apologies arrived in pie tins and awkward handshakes. Folks said they thought they were protecting the valley and realized they were feeding a fire. Trina took a deal and later started showing up at meetings to say, "Here's how they fooled me, and here's how to stop them." Maybe redemption is a door you hold open with your foot while you keep your hand on the knob. Maybe you disagree. I get it. Cassie built a site so towns could verify officials. Share patterns, rally help before anyone got isolated. Deputy Reyes got promoted. I wrote a field guide for regular folks who get a knock from paperwork with teeth, and Lena started teaching. Fire halls, church basements, any place with a whiteboard and coffee. How to read a document like a detective, and how to call your neighbor before you believe a stranger with a clipboard. The call from DOJ was the ribbon on the thing. They asked her to help train agents on rural corruption, and I watched pride braid with exhaustion on her face, sweet after bitter rare, and earned. And here's where I leave you with the part that matters. Where's the line between protecting a neighborhood and letting fear make you cruel? If someone shows up with paperwork and a smile, do you trust the paper? Or the person, can a partner to a bully ever earn their way back? Or is a second act just clever lighting? You know what I mean. Drop your take in the comments. What did we get? Right. What would you have done different? Tell me if you've seen authority used like a costume or a community turned into a weapon. And if you've lived a version of this story, put it down there so somebody else can read it and realize they're not crazy. They're being played. If this hit close, hit like so it finds the next family who needs it. Subscribe if you want more stories where regular people look fear in the eye and say on Today,